Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, you'll learn how to use args and kwargs in Python to write functions that accept a flexible number of arguments. But first, let's quickly understand positional and keyword arguments. I'll write a function here. Let's give it a name as describe animal. Let's write a print statement here. I'll use an F string. I need two values here. I'll take name and the other one I need is animal. Now these two should be parameters here. So name and animal. Let's call this function now. So now when you have to give the arguments to this function, there are two ways that you can provide the arguments. So the first way is to directly pass the value. So let's say for name, I'll just pass, let's say buddy, and for animal, I'll pass the value as dog. So these are two arguments, but if you observe, these are exactly in the order the way we have defined the parameters. So the first value that I have given is for name and the second value that I have given is for animal. So when you provide the arguments in exactly the same position as you have defined the parameters, they are called positional arguments. So positional arguments are matched by their order. But then there is another way of doing it. Let's call this function again. And now let's say I don't want to follow the order. So in that case, I would have to give the parameter name and then the argument. So let's say if I want to give the animal first, so I can do that, but then I would have to mention the keyword. So animal is equals to, let's say cat. And for name also, I have to mention the keyword. Let's say Milo. And this is called keyword arguments. So this is positional argument, this is keyword argument. So in the keyword arguments, you have to use the parameter name, and in the positional argument, you exactly have to give the values the way you have defined the parameters. Let's go ahead and run this. So you can see both of this works. Buddy is a dog and Milo is a cat. So now as you know what is positional and what is keyword arguments, now let's go ahead and check args and kwargs. Let's understand args first. So I'll take an example. I'll write another function. Let's give it a name as greet all. And here I'll take two parameters. One would be greeting, the other one would be name. Let's give a print statement. So I'll take the greeting first, we'll put a comma and then the name. Now let's call this function. So when I'm calling this function now, I'll provide two arguments, greeting and the name. So in the greeting, I'll give hello, and in the name, let's say I give Alice. Now if I save and run this, I get this message, hello Alice. Now let's say if I want to greet multiple people, so I have more than one value for the name. And let's also imagine that we don't know how many names. So basically whenever you don't know how many arguments will be passed to a function, that is when you can use star args. So here rather than name, I can just mention a star. And this args can be anything. You can name it anything. So here we have this by name, but you have to put one star. Now you can give multiple arguments here. So let's say if I include Bob as well, and let's say I'll include Charlie as well. And if I save and run this, I get the desired output. So what happens is whenever you give a star and then the parameter name, then while passing the arguments, you can provide multiple values. And Python is gonna take those multiple values in the form of tuple. So here you can see it has taken the values in the form of a tuple. Now let's see one more example of star args. I'll declare another function and I'm going to give it a name as add numbers. Now here I don't know how many numbers user is going to pass. So basically we are not sure about how many arguments will be passed to this function. So here we can use star and then we can basically use args. Now here as I said you can give it any name but you have to put the star. So here I will give it as numbers and let's take another variable as total. Let's run a loop on this. So for num in numbers and we'll keep on adding it to the total. Now let's print the total. So now when you're calling this number, you can pass as many arguments as you want. So I'll call this function and let's say if I pass 5 and then let me call this again and I'll pass more number of arguments. So let's say 5 and 12 and 5. Let me save this and run this now. So here you can see it worked in both the cases. So whenever you're not sure about how many arguments are going to get passed into the function, you can use star args. But these are positional arguments. So let's say if you had multiple parameters here, you still have to maintain the positioning. So for example, let's check the previous example for that. So the previous example that we did, here you still have to maintain the position. So your first argument should be the greeting and after that you can provide multiple names, but you cannot change the order. So you cannot keep the greeting after you give all the names. So that is why star args is still positional arguments. Now let's talk about star kwargs, which is for keyword arguments. So we'll take another example for that. Let's create a function and I'll give it a name as print profile. So in kwargs, you have to give double star before you give your parameters. Here, I'll give it a name as student info. You can give any name, whatever you want, whatever your parameter name is, but you have to put 2 stars. And here, the moment you put 2 stars, Python will take it in the form of dictionary. So whatever arguments you are going to pass, that will be in the form of dictionary. And if you remember in dictionary, the values are maintained in the form of key value pair. So let's run a loop. So I'll type in for key and value in student info. Dot items, because we know that double star has made it into a dictionary. So dot items, and here let's print the key and value. Now when we call this function, we have to give the keyword arguments. So here I'll give the name. So as we know that it is considered now as a dictionary, so we are going to give the values likewise. So I'll give the name as Alice, and then I can feed in more info. Let's say age is 25 and city, New York. Now if I save and run this, we get the information. And as you can see, the order of values does not matter here, right? So you can give the age first and then name later, or however you want to arrange it, because this is keyword argument. So double star quarks goes for multiple keyword arguments, and star args goes for positional arguments where the order matters. Now let's combine both star args and double star quarks. So we'll take another example. I'll take a function as show info, and here we'll take star args and double star quarks, and here let's print both. We'll also print quarks. Now let's call this function. So now in the place of args, you can give multiple values. So let's say we'll give 1, 2, and 3. And then for quarks, we have to give the values in the form of keyword arguments. So here I'll give it as, let's give a name. So Alice, and then age, let's say 30. And if I save and run this, we get the values. And you see for args, it is in the form of a tuple. For quarks, it is in the form of dictionary. And that's it. That's how you can make your Python functions flexible and powerful with star args and double star quarks. So here's a mini challenge for you. Give it a try. Create a function called order summary that takes any number of food items as args, star args, and optional delivery info like address and time as double star quarks, and then print them all. So that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next one.